How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Baycodge. Welcome to my channel. And today we're going to be popping some homemade fireworks. I'm also going to give you a little rundown of how I make them, not so much as how I make my gunpowder or my charcoal. I'll do that in a later video. But today I'm going to show you how I put together my fireworks and we're going to pop them. Let's get into the video. Warning. This video is for educational purposes only. I am not responsible for any injuries you or anyone else may sustain if you choose to emulate what you see in this video. Please enjoy the video and thank you for watching. Alright you guys, so here we are. I'm going to show you a little bit about how I make my fireworks. So, you can see my tubes here. I'm going to be making one out of these and this one. So I'll set those two right here. Get those out of the way. Got two different types of black powder, but we're going to use this one. Go ahead and get that open. And when you do this, you want to make sure that there's no any kind of heat or spark or anything that's going to cause this stuff to go off. Here I've got my caps, small caps, and two of those. And I got my big caps right here for my M100. What I like to do with these is they're a little oval shaped. I like to just give them a little squeeze and kind of round them out. That way they're going to fit a little easier in there. Do that one too, just like so. I've also got a funnel here that I made for putting my black powder in there because I don't want to make a huge mess. Got my hot glue gun here. It's already plugged in, heating up. Got my hot glue here. I just keep a few extra sticks up here or the whole bag so I don't have to reach back and get more stuff when I need it. Got my fuse, safety fuse from Pyro, Backyard Pyro website. Pretty good price for a 20 foot. And I've got my electrical tape that I'm going to wrap them in after I'm done. And they're pretty much going to look like this when they're done. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some glue right in here like this. And you don't have to be skimpy, you can be generous. More glue the better. Now these caps are a little tricky to get in. They take a little finesse, but you don't want to force them too much because then they're going to go too far, just like that. Okay, so as you saw just now, I kind of screwed that one up, but that's what I was talking about with pushing those caps in. Sometimes it happens, you got to be careful and not push too hard because it will shove in there and kind of screw up the whole thing. Let's try that again. Just going to set it right here. And what I like to do is take a marker, just kind of work it in there where I need it. Just like so. Not perfect, but we'll do better on the other side. Now after that, I like to take my hot glue gun and just kind of fill this in. And what this is going to do is kind of help the structure of the tube. And kind of give you a harder plug on the end there. Put some tape over. So we're going to let that cool off. We're going to go ahead and do our M80 here. Now these are a little different from the first ones I got. The first ones I got were a little bit glossier and tougher. But these are easier for the caps to go in. See, like that, I just pops right in there, just slides right on in. And we're going to do the same thing we did to the other one. We're going to fill the end with hot glue. 1 second, let me get another stick. Shove it right in here. Fill this in with hot glue. And this is going to do the same thing, especially for these. It's going to add a lot of structure because these tubes are kind of weak. It's easy to smash them. So this kind of adds that structure at the end, because we're going to be wrapping them super, super tight, because you want to contain the explosion from that black powder as much as possible so that you get a bigger bang. Alright, so now that one of them is semi kind of dry, it's not exactly too wet or sticky, or you know what I mean. We're going to get a drill bit. You can see this drill bit here, and I matched it to the size of my fuse. And I think this is the easiest way to make your fuse holes. Now when I do it, I kind of look for the seam of the tube, and I go on the opposite side of that seam. And there we've got a perfect hole. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Look for the seam. And go on the opposite side of that seam. And that's another clean hole. Now, this was a pre-cut one that I had just laying around. I'm going to use this one for the small one. And what I do is I shove it in there. But for now, just enough. I don't know if you can't really see that. But just enough so that the fuse just barely pokes in there. And what we're going to do next, I'm going to take this hot glue and go around the fuse and the hole. Like so. And then you want to take that fuse and push it in while you twist. Now you can push back and forth to make sure the glue seats your preference. And there it is, seated. I'm going to do the same thing with this one, but I got to cut my fuse a little bit longer. About this long. We're going to do it the same way. Stick it in there. Just enough where it comes through on the inside. I'm going to take my hot glue. I do the same thing right around the base. And I'm going to twist it in. That way that glue gets seated in there with it. And I usually go where the end of the fuse is kind of halfway through the diameter of the inside of the tube. Now we'll just let that dry for a minute. That way when I set them down on the ends, the hot glue doesn't stick to the surface, because I just want to make sure that it's dry or cooled off, whatever you prefer to call it, dry or cool with hot glue. Alright, so now that they're cooled off or dry, whichever you prefer to call it, and the fuse is seated, you see there, it's seated in. Now we're going to fill them with black powder. So I'm going to take my funnel here, get a scoop, get extra in there, tap this out because powder likes to sit in the funnel. I'm going to set this out of the way, and I'm going to clean that up in here in just a minute. But as you can see, it's loosely packed to the top. Well, not packed, but filled up to the top. Now, I'm not going to pack this in there or press it down with anything, because if you do, you're going to get a rocket effect instead of the initial explosion that you want. Because with black powder, you don't want to pack it too tight. Now, I filled this up to the top loosely, but I'm going to tap it down just like this. Just keep tapping that down until the level gets to halfway in the tube, or at least close. And now, I don't know if you can see, but you can see there it's about halfway in the tube. And now we can take our hot glue. Let me do this first. You're going to want to get something, anything. I'm going to use these scissors here. And just kind of scrape off the edge, so that the glue can stick to the cardboard instead of sticking to the powder. Let's give that a little tap. Alright, so now I'm going to apply a bead of glue all the way on the inside. You can be generous But also be careful because you're messing with heat and gunpowder. Though I don't think the black powder is as reactive as flash powder, so I don't think it's a concern. You want to take your time pushing this down. You don't want to push it too far. Just like that. You want it seated flush. Now you can push it in there down further to meet the powder, and it will still explode. It'll be a sharper bang, but when you leave that space, like I've just showed you, and it's flush to the end, you get a louder, deeper, more like a boom instead of a crackle. So that's what we want. So now I'm going to take this and do like the other side. And now we're going to let this one dry. That M100's just about done, and we're going to do this little guy. Alright, so I've set it in here so it doesn't fall over because that fuse is kind of weighing it down. And with this one, I'm not going to grab as much in this scoop. Where you want to wear a mask and gloves. Obviously I'm not. It's okay. You're supposed to wear gloves and a mask, but kind of taking my time here. Alright. You want to scrape off the edge carefully. If you want, you can tap the access into here, back into where you keep your powder, and do the same thing. Tap it down to halfway. There we go. Just tap down the halfway, as you can see, hopefully. And now we're ready to glue it. So we're going to apply our bead of glue. And this one's a lot easier, as you can remember. These caps just pop right in there, no problem at all. And we're going to do like we did the other one. I'm going to fill this up with glue. Get some on the edge so it grabs. Now we're going to let that cool off. And after that's cooled off, I'm going to come back and I'm going to wrap these guys in electrical tape. Just going to kind of clean this area up while I'm waiting. Alright, let's check on these. Almost, not quite. A little bit longer. Now, another thing I'd like to point out is when you make these, before you light them, please wipe your fuse. As you can see, I've got black powder on my fuse here. That's not good. It can cause it to prematurely detonate before you can get out of range into safety, and that's a real big safety hazard. I've heard of people blowing their hands off because they were holding it and went to throw it, and there was gunpowder or flash powder on the fuse, and they lost fingers or damn near lost a hand, which ain't good. So you just want to wipe that fuse with whatever you've got, whether it be clothes. Maybe your clothes aren't a good idea, but I'm gonna use my shirt and kind of just wipe it off so I don't get any premature detonations and we can be safe. I'm gonna wipe this one too. Alright, and now I think they're dry enough that we could put some electrical tape on them so we can contain it, just like this. And you're going to want to wrap this as tightly as possible, guys. Alright, I'm going to wrap it this way. Now when you're wrapping it this way, around it, you want to make sure that you get that edge right there, because I've made one already, and instead of the initial explosion that I wanted, it just blew out of the seams where the cap sits. So you're going to want to tape that seam real tight, 2 or 3 wraps, to make sure it doesn't come out there. Because what you really want is for it to blow out of the side of the tube. You want the tube to fail, not the plugs. Or the ends, I should say. So wrap it like that. Now if you want for good measure, you can go and wrap this way again. This should just give it that little extra containment. So it should look like this when you're done. Now we're gonna do this one. That should be suffice. Stick it down like that. Alright. So now we've got our 2 fireworks made, and we're gonna go pop these and see how they do. Now I've also got these 2, which are much bigger. These are homemade. I made these out of some cardboard that I got from work. You can see this one, which is a much bigger tube. You can see how it looks. I got the tape that was to hold it so it would dry. This one I wrapped around a paper towel roll and then taped it. So the paper towel roll is still in there. Made my own end caps out of that cardboard that I get from work. It actually worked pretty well. I've got to fill this one, finish it, but I've also got this one here, which you can see how big that one is compared to the others. I don't know I'll be able to get this one in the video today, but I will try. I'm definitely not going to pop this one here at my house. I'll have to go to my friend's house because he's in a more secluded area. I've got neighbors that I don't want to piss off, so. Alright you guys, so I've given you a rundown of how I make my firecrackers. Not so much my powder. Like I said, I'm going to cover that in a different video, as well as making my charcoal. But this is how I put my fireworks together. Let's go outside and pop them and see how they do. Also guys, those other 2 I made that were smaller than these, they're not the only ones that will be popped in this video. There will also be some older ones that I had already videoed that I'm going to just throw in there for you guys to see. I just wanted to cover how I actually made them. So here we are outside, and I'm going to pop these 2. Let's do this one first and see how it goes. Alright you guys, that first one went really well, so let's do this one, okay?
Sound like a 45.
Alright guys, as promised, we're going to blow up these pumpkins with the big ones that I told you that I would squeeze into the video. Let's get them popped. Nice.
Oh, that almost hit it.
That was awesome.
Dude, that piece of pumpkin blew like 10 feet. Like, oh.
I know, that's why I kind of ducked.
Keep recording.
That's what I was afraid of. I was like, oh my god, what if I hope it won't get covered in pumpkin. I didn't think it'd go that far, to be honest. Like,
I don't know. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. Alright guys, here's the other one.
bigger? Oh no, that's for the bigger one, alright. Woo!
Nice.
That was a nice one. You just hear fucking splatter over there.
Alright, everybody. Moment of truth. I've been waiting so long to pop this one.
The fun one.
Yeah. I'll try and put the top on it.
Yes! That's how it's done.
Alright. That's how you fucking do it, boy. Alright guys, so I just wanted to show you something. This is an older one, but this is what you want. This is the result you want when you pop your firework. You want the tube to fail, not the plugs. That's why I wrapped it in tape, because usually the plugs are the ones to fail first, and then you don't get the initial bang that you want. Now also, I want to show you over here. This is an M100 tube. You can see the walls did not fail. Where it failed is here, like I was saying, in the seams, because I did not tape the seams. So remember guys, tape your seams, tape it tight to keep it contained for the initial explosion. And that's how I pop and make my homemade fireworks. Thanks for watching, you guys. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.